Well, folks, it's somewhat hard to believe, but going by the view counts alone, one of the biggest stories this summer was our report about certain tourists going to Wasaga Beach, Ontario, not to just take in the sights, mind you, but also to leave something very odious behind, which is to say some people have been defecating. Yes, that's right, defecating on the beach. Now, the original whistleblower regarding this disturbing trend was Wasaga Beach resident Natty. She took to TikTok to call out this truly disgusting behavior occurring down at the beach. But in the aftermath, Natty has been targeted, with some calling her racist. That's because Natty reported that the people she observed doing the defecation are primarily those from the East Indian community. Cue the outrage. Indeed, apparently her reporting was tantamount to committing a thought crime. For example, Natty actually received a visit by a constable with the Ontario Provincial Police.
Somebody called in about somebody posting things on TikTok about East Indians defecating on the beach.
And then last Sunday, the front page story in the Toronto Star was all about this particular issue, but instead of calling out the perpetrators, the Star decided to, shoot the messenger, implying that calling out such sordid behavior is, yes, you guessed it, racist. Unbelievable. And joining me now from Nova Scotia to try and make sense of it all is Natty herself. Hey, Natty, thank you very much for making time for me. How you doing there in Nova Scotia?
I'm doing good. It's a good little getaway and a break from everything that's been going on. So I'm thankful I got out here with my family.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Natty, I read the Toronto Star piece. I thought it was a shameful story. I thought it was an outright hit piece. What did you make of it?
Actually, there's a lot more to the story than just that article that was written. I knew that was going to be her, she wanted to go along with for the article. I already kind of sniffed that out when she was trying to interview me. But I'm not surprised, if I could say that, because given how she interviewed me and the way she was speaking to me, I already picked up on her narrative, and I declined the interview for that reason. Because I already seen which direction it was going.
Yeah, and I think that's really bad journalism. You go into a story not with an open mind, but with a narrative that you're going to prove, regardless of what the facts have to say. And Natty, I'm sorry, but you have seen this happen based on where you used to live in Wasaga Beach. And we have spoken to current and past bylaw officers. We have spoken to our sources in the Indian community, as a matter of fact. They say this is happening. And what's more, you can go online. There is no shortage of videos showing people in India doing that on beaches. So I'm not suggesting there's some kind of a racial component that, here necessarily. It's more of a cultural behavior, I would argue. And some of the people coming over here are bringing that cultural behavior to Canada. And it shouldn't be tolerated, especially as you've pointed out, there are public bathrooms within, meters of the sandy beaches of Wasaga Beach.
Yeah, there's more than enough facilities for people to use. There's no excuse to the behavior. And I'll keep saying this, and I've continued to say it. Everyone's going there with the intention of doing it. It's just there's been a lot of back and forth on social media. I'm not sure if I told you about the truckers. I just want to make this clear so people also see this. There was a lot of back and forth about white men using truck stops and peeing against their truck in the parking lot in comparison to what was happening at the beach. I have men from that community tagging me saying, "Oh, come get your uncle, come get your dad. Are you not going to call this behavior out?" And it's crazy that people aren't deciphering the fact of defecating on a beach where families go and where children play and comparing it to an empty parking lot that truckers use. So that's a big one I'm dealing with right now. And it's baffling to me. They don't understand the difference. They think it's all classed as one, but it's not.
Yeah, it's certainly not the same scenario, I would argue. And I mean, you also mentioned too, and this is disturbing, people burying soiled diapers on the beach. I mean, for goodness sakes, that is a health hazard, to the point where I think you mentioned to me before, Natty, that some mothers wouldn't let their toddlers dig on the beach in case of coming up with a very disturbing surprise. But, what I also find amazing about the Star piece is that they go out of their way to quote somebody from the anti-hate network. And if you know anything about the history of the anti-hate network, they're all about hate, but hate directed at some specific groups. And the idea of them saying that, hatred against the Indian community is one of the biggest issues right now, when for 10 months we've seen the pro-Hamas people chanting for genocide on the streets of our great Dominion. I mean, it's a bit much to take. But tell me, Natty, as I alluded to in the introduction, a police officer actually got on this case, not to investigate anyone defecating on the beach, but what was it, to visit your house and find out why you posted that TikTok video?
Yeah, the whole point of the police coming to my house, I think, was a scare tactic. From the messages I was receiving on TikTok to the things that people were saying to me, actually. I think that happened the day after I called out the mayor for calling me a liar, and calling the hundreds of people in my comments talking about their own experiences, saying they're liars, there's no proof. Like, am I not more than enough? If I'm saying this, I'm saying it for a reason. And the police came the day after I called out the mayor, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it was a stop talking about me before I make this bigger than it should be. So I think that was just a scare tactic. And I'm like, there's crime in Wasaga Beach. I think there's something else you could be doing besides harassing a single mom with 3 kids. Like, I was busy. I even burnt my lunch because they came to the door, and I'm like, I recorded it. I'm just like, why are you guys harassing me? Like, a waste of taxpayer money, if you ask me.
Yeah. What did the police officer say to you exactly, Natty?
When he told me that he received a phone call that I was harassing South Asian. East Indian. Sorry, the South Asian was what the Sun said about me. These people are just talking out their behinds, okay? That was I got it confused with the Toronto Sun. That's what they said I did. But then I was told by the officer that I was harassing East Indians. I never specified a direction. Okay, my statements were broad and to the point.
You see my TikTok? I was on the radio show. I spoke on my experiences. It's Natty Lynn 2.0. Natty Lynn 2.0.
I personally have not had any calls for this type of behavior on the beach.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, it's actually these actual incidents happened some time ago.
No, it's been recently.
I never called out a single community from India or Sikhs or anything like that people are making it out to be. I wasn't the one that said any of that. But that's what the police said. We received a phone call that you were on TikTok harassing East Indians.
That's incredible. There was no talk of any charges, and I can't even imagine what the charges would be. Although,
you never know.
Yeah, well, we do have the most censorious legislation in the history of the Western world, Bill C-68, pending approval. So it hasn't been passed yet. But I almost find that as like an eerie example of intimidation. I mean, you're a young single mother, and here's this cop coming to your house and saying we're getting complaints. It just seems to me that there are far better things for law enforcement to get concerned over than that. But Nettie, we need to make the point. You hardly match the profile of a white supremacist. You are Indigenous, are you not?
Yes, I am. I am First Nations. It's crazy what people are saying. And it's funny. They're just speaking to speak. it's like I just came up with this new kind of saying I was talking about. I'm like, a lot of you have your eyes are open, but your mouths are closed. And some of you need to close your mouth and open your eyes.
Yeah, no, good point. And from years ago, I can't remember what year exactly, but the Canadian government was funding these posters. It was for an African nation, and it had a pictograph, basically the universal no / to somebody in a squatting position, basically saying in graphics, don't defecate on the beach. So we know that this is a problem in certain nations. But what I see happening here by the usual suspects, especially on the left, this is the very epitome of political correctness, isn't it? That if the truth is hurtful or offensive to some people, you should self-censor yourself and not say it. That's what the vibe I'm getting, Natty, when I see the reaction, especially from those on the left, to your postings.
Yeah, that's honestly what I've been seeing too. People are going as far as saying like, they said that I was a far right, and I don't keep up with politics, so I didn't know what that meant. So my dad explained it to me, and then I'm like, well, if that means you're on the right side of things, I guess that's what I am, but I don't keep up with politics. I'm just me. It's like if I see something wrong or something bothering me or something that is affecting a lot of people that are too scared to stand up, I'm going to use my voice and I'm going to stand up. I've been thanked so many times by so many people for talking about the things that I'm now talking about on my platform, because we've been conditioned as Canadians to sit back and watch things completely spiral and not say a thing about it because we're polite, we're too nice. But, eventually everybody gets to a breaking point, and I think I just hit mine. And a lot of people are thankful for that fact, but I believe in standing up for things that are right. And I think we've been pushed around for far too long. And it's just, now it's a matter of like, whether or not you're right or wrong. I think it's just, we have to really take a stand and just stand up for what's right. Nothing's going to change if we don't speak up and say what's wrong.